Between 1909 and 1912, one of the most legendary engineering feats in human history was built in Belfast, Northern Ireland, the RMS Titanic. This was not just a ship. This was a national project of glory, prestige, and industrial dominance. The Titanic was born out of an era of competition between shipbuilders, where speed, luxury, and size were the global measure of greatness. Construction began officially in March of 1909 at the Harland and Wolff shipyard. The ship was built on what was, at that time, the largest slipway in the world. The scale of the operation was massive. Thousands of workers, shipwrights, riveters, steelworkers, carpenters, all came together to assemble this vessel. Over 3 million rivets would eventually hold the Titanic's hull together. One defining moment of construction was the building of Titanic's steel framework. A giant skeleton rising from the shipyard, piece by piece. Steel plates were heated, shaped, lifted by cranes, and hammered into position. Each rivet was driven by teams of 3. One man holding the red-hot rivet, a second holding the bolt from the inside, and a third striking with a heavy pneumatic hammer. It was intense, exhausting, dangerous work. In this era, there were no modern safety standards. Injuries and deaths during shipbuilding were sadly normal. By May 1911, Titanic's massive hull was completed. The height from her keel to the top of her decks was about 175 feet. When she was floated into the water for the first time, over 100,000 spectators gathered to witness it. It was the largest man-made moving object on Earth. After that, the next year was spent fitting the interior. Titanic was a floating palace. Electric elevators, oak paneling, gilded staircases, crystal chandeliers. The ship was designed to express wealth and elegance, especially for first-class travelers. The famous grand staircase with its domed glass ceiling symbolized this new era of luxury at sea. But Titanic was also technologically advanced for safety. Her hull had 16 watertight compartments with hydraulic doors that could be closed instantly. Engineers claimed that even if 4 compartments flooded, the ship would still remain afloat. Of course, history showed that nature proved otherwise. On April 2, 1912, 3 years after the first steel plates were laid, Titanic began her sea trials, and shortly after she officially entered service. She left Southampton on April 10th. 4 days later, she struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic and sank. But long before her tragic end, the construction itself, from 1909 to 1912, remains one of the greatest engineering achievements of the early 20th century. The Titanic's creation represents ambition. It represents industry. It represents the peak of human design at that time. And today, more than a century later, we still talk about Titanic, not only because of how she sank, but because of how she was built.